Huh, looks familiar.
It's the year 2020, and I'm reviewing a smartphone that's 6 years old. It came out back in 2014. Hey guys, how's it? Michael here. Welcome back to another video. And yes, I'm referring to none other than the iPhone 6. The iPhone 6. Yeah, it came out back in 2014. It was a killer then, but is this still a killer in the year 2020? So it has a 4.7-inch display screen, 16 by 9 ratio, 750 by 1334 pixels, IPS LCD display. It gets really bright sometimes. Dash needs some brightness. A 1810 mAh battery. It has an aluminum body, a matte gold finish with white stripes all around it, around the back, as you see in the iPhone 7 and iPhone 8. An 8 megapixel main camera, single camera system, records 1080p video at 60 frames per second, 720p video at 240 frames per second. Well, when it came out on this time, we had iOS 8, but you can get it up to iOS 12.4.8. Well, once it gets to iOS like 12.4, this is basically minor bugs, more bug fixes, and minor security updates. First, I'm going to say is this is not the back. This is not the worst of phones. One, that aluminum body finish at the back, it's really nice. Like, it's cool. I like the feel of it. It's not really glass itself as you have in the iPhones of nowadays, but it's kind of like that matte finish, and it's gold, and I love gold iPhones for some reason, because you know it's kind of like a flex having gold iPhones, but that's by the way. So yeah, back 2014, this is one of the most powerful phones you could get at that time. On paper, the tech specs may look so low compared with typical. In fact, let's compare with the iPhones of nowadays, the iPhone 12 of this time. You know that there's there's been a large change from 2014 up into 2020. If you were to compare an Android and an iPhone 6 with an Android budget smartphone of this year, like for example the Samsung Galaxy A11, which I'm using to record this video right now. If you were to compare this iPhone 6 with that phone, it's probably going to get destroyed by it. If you were to even compare this phone with a typical Android flagship of nowadays, like the Note 20, if you were to compare an iPhone 6, an Apple iPhone 6 with Samsung Galaxy Note 20, you would see that it's probably going to get crushed on paper. Well, for me, it's still a fine phone. Yes, it has its downsides. The efficiency compared with the gains you get, like the efficiency compared with the phones, the iPhones of nowadays and phones or smartphones of nowadays, is obviously they're like on two different levels. It gets kind of like has a small battery life, small battery capacity, lasts for about 45 hours, and in the last 10 days I've gotten an average of only 4 hours and 33 minutes of on-screen time. It does get warm sometimes when I'm charging it. It gets warm sometimes, and when I'm using it, it gets hot with just a few apps open. For me, I still feel it's a fine phone. It's a fine phone, really. It's still a fine phone. The year 2020, it's not a killer as it was probably in 2014, but for me, it's a fine phone. It's a fine phone. But let me explain to you why. It's a fine phone simply because of one reason, and that is future proofing. Future proofing is a process of anticipating the future and developing methods of minimizing the effects of shocks and stresses of future events. So Apple knows that in 6 years to come, 6 years time, people would expect more from their phones. They expect that their phones are able to do much more. Obviously, they knew they were going to come up with better phones over the years. And just like about 40% of people who buy an iPhone and keep using it for about 3 to 4 years, and there's that 60% or that 50% who probably use it for like about 2 years, and there's that like 10% who upgrade their phones like every single time. Those are like the fanboys and the fangirls. I'm just saying, really. But Apple knows that okay, there'll be some people who really use their iPhones for about a general time of about 3 years. What can we do with this phone to make it still work properly, still be an okay phone in 3 years down the line, some years later after it has been released? That is when you now talk about the idea of minimizing the effects and shocks. Yeah, they did a lot of things to this phone that makes this phone still a fine phone even in 6 years down the line. First, now I'll talk about the camera. So this is an 8 megapixel single camera system, but it still takes pretty good photos. It has the slow-mo feature, and as the updates were coming, now you can edit where in the photos, and you can edit where you want the slow-mo to apply to your video. So for example, if I record a slow-mo video of me flipping a teddy bear or flipping a corner bear or something, I can go into the Photos app and edit where I want the slow-mo effect to be applied in the whole video. So like whether I want it to apply throughout the middle, then stopped at the beginning, then there's no slow-mo effect at the beginning and at the ending. I don't know, it all depends. But like really, that's really good for an iPhone 6. I don't like to slow-mo videos are really nice. It still has HDR, has the HDR feature, which makes it take great photos. Where to take a picture of like a sunset, or take a picture of like a wide a landscape picture, you will notice the effect of that HDR, and it's, for me, it's really good. I leave mine on auto most of the time. So the camera is one thing. Two, this phone is loud. People don't really care about loudness, but if you're a person who does, this phone is still okay for me. It's still a fine phone. So you have camera, you have loudness, you have brightness, the screen is good, but really this phone is still good. Like, it's still good. It's still a fine phone. So what's my take? So if you're that kind of person who feels like, oh, you're tired of using a phone that's about 3, 4, 5 years old, and you want to update, I like to tell you, your phone isn't old, really. Your phone isn't old, as long as it's not a flip phone. But before you go out and spend about $1,000 or $1,300 on an iPhone 12 Pro Max or 20 Ultra respectively, take a moment and pause. Ask yourself, hold that phone up in front of you and ask yourself, really, is this smartphone still okay? Can I see it for about 1 or 2 years? If yes, stick with the phone. As long as the phone is still satisfactory, it still satisfies you as a person, it still meets those demands, those little bits of expectations you have concerning your smartphone, still wait a bit longer. And if no, well, I figured you might just go ahead and make the purchase decision and get that better smartphone so you can feel up to date. But anyway, make a choice. I'm only giving you my own thoughts. I feel, well, the iPhone 6 is still a fine phone in the year 2020, even though it's 6 years old. But I haven't been using it for 6 years. I've used it for only about 3 years, 2 to 3 years. So, but that's my review on the iPhone 6, and that's my take on phones of now. It's phones which people term as old, but people still use them in the year 2020. That's my review. That's my take on them, and yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe, turn on notifications on your way out. Leave a like and leave a comment as you leave this video, and I'll see you guys very soon in the next one. I'll talk to you guys later. Yeah. Peace.